Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is Chapter 13 Organization for Administration and Control. No business run itself. This quote is like connected to another quote that says, no man is an island. Dili ni kaya nga maran ang business nga si Jara isa. He himself alone or itself because it needs repeated stimulation. It is not easy to build a business because it takes time, intelligence, and hard work. A business will run smoothly only if proper attention is given to it. It's like, for example, in your exams, you cannot just cram, you cannot just take the exam within that specific day and having a little to no knowledge nga way tuon in the former days. So because a group of unarranged machines, a dili organized, a body of unarranged workers, and a pile of unassembled materials do not make a going concern. You get that point? As to what is to be produced, to whom it may be sold, who is to do each part of the work, when the goods are to be finished, whether the quality is satisfactorily, how much money is to be collected and paid out, and how to settle a wide range of problems. All of this must be administered and controlled. Dapat na agjay tao ani nga mo control. There must be a hierarchy. Let's say nasa ubos hangtod pataas nga naay mo manage sa mga kinahanglanon within a specific organization. Talking about administration and management, the function of administration and control is to keep the business going smoothly. Lahi ra jud ba sanay mo guide ninyo just like sa inyong bay. Kung kamo ra dadto mag-igsoon man na sumbagay kinilatahay pero na yung mga parents of course madisiplina. Am I right? I'm right 100%. To apply the necessary stimulus and direction and to look ahead of possible opportunities as well as danger signals. The act of administration refers to the establishing and maintenance of major policies, while management refers to carrying out and implementation of those policies. So, mintag administration mo ni mag-establish sa maintenance and major policies. Pero mintag management, this is the implementation, gi-apply na ang mga policy. So, since we're talking about administration and management, we will also talk about problems because what's the use of management if we don't have problems? We have management because at the first place we have problems. Management problems may be groups as follows. First, problems of policy. Problems of policy involves the setting of major objectives and formulating plans of action for their attainment. Second, problems of organization, which involves the classification of activities into administrative groups, fixing responsibility for the performance of each group, and providing for the proper coordination of all the groups in order to cooperate effectively in the attainment of the objectives. So we'll take note of the word cooperate. So even if each organization has different tasks to do, all of them are still inclined or connected in achieving their common goal. Third, we have problems of personnel, which involves the procurement, development, and use of individuals to perform the responsibilities established by the organization plans. Problems of facilities, which involves the procurement, maintenance, and use of physical factors needed in the performance of the operations necessary in the attainment of the objectives. And lastly, we have problems of methods, which involve the use of routines and the procedures required to perform effectively the operations necessary to attain such objectives established by the policies. People as we are, since problems are natural to our lives because it is part of it, in order for us to grow, sometimes we get to overflow from our own cups. So usahay di na ta ka-control sa atong emotions. So talking about control, we will know what is the meaning of control. The following are taken from the Business Organization and Practice from Davis Stetson and E. Robinson Office Administration. It can be understood if it is broken up into several parts or several aspects of knowledge. So the control can be can be understood into different aspects. First, knowing exactly what work is to be done. So dapat kebo ka unsa imong buhaton as to quantity and quality. Quantity, it means the numbers, and the quality ug unsay intensity sa imuhang pagabuhaton. And as to time available, pila ang specific time nga imong kinahanglan, the time frame imong target nga mahuman ang specific problem nga imong masolve. Second, knowing what resources are available for doing the work, because mo pa ni mostly problema nga kay bota unsay buhaton pero due to lack of resources, the lack of mga gamit, maglisod ta ug unsaon pag-solve ang isa ka problem. Just like for example, kung imong charger dili mo abot sa saksakanan sa imong bed, so gusto ka nga naa kay extension wire, but unfortunately you don't have any resources financially. You don't have the the resources to buy extension wire, so maglisod ka to solve your problem. So knowing what resources are available for the work. As to personnel, resources gyapon ang personal, because resource is not limited to the things that we see, mga stuffs, but also to the people nga mubuhat sa work. As to materials, so mo natong ganiha. And as to equipment, mo ni sila pare-pareho na sa materials o equipment. And as to other facilities, and when we say facilities, this talks about rooms, mga lugar nga asa nimo buhaton ang work. Third, knowing that the work has been done or being done. Dapat hibaon nimo if the work is nahumanan na or wa pa. Just like for example, sa sinina, dapat kibaw ka kung kani is nilabhan na ba ni or dili, para dili na ka magbalik-balik sa work. Knowing that work has to be done with the resources available, within the time available, at a reasonable cost as compared with standard cost, in accordance with required and standard of quality. Fourth, we have knowing immediately of any delays or variations as to the happening, as to the cause, as to the remedy. Okay, it is important that you should know immediately of any delays or variation. Like for example, imong order sa Shopee na delay. So dapat makibaw ka nga within the specific time nga you expect it to come, dili siya makaabot, in order for you to have the alternative. For example, sa nina imong photo sa birthday, the one iabot nga na dili di kaabot ana nga date. So dapat na kay alternative. Fifth, knowing what is being done to remove such hindrances, as to what is doing it, as to how he is doing it, as to when it will be done. When you say knowing what is being done to remove such hindrances, dapat hibaw ka sa buhaton nga makuha na nga babag sa imuhang goal. So dapat ingana ang pag-control. 6, knowing when it is done, as to time finished, as to quality of the finished job, as to who did it. When we talk about time, like I say nga, you should not compromise quality over time and time over quality, which means dapat dili pwede nga pas na mo yung gibuhat in order to finish it within a short period of time. Dili pod pwede nga task-an nimo imong gibuhat kanang taas na kadyo kag time nga na-consume para lang lami kadyo imong work, because either way guba ang imuhang plano, dili mo ma-achieve imuhang goal. Seventh, knowing that recurrences are guarded against in that way, by whom, at what cost, with what system of inspection. Since we talk about control also has elements. Control, in order to be effective, must be afforded with necessary elements such as authority and knowledge, guidance and direction, constraint and restraint. Because to exercise control, the manager must be able to know what the situation is and what it should be. He should know what to bring the situation into line. Equally important is to have authority to undertake necessary and appropriate action. In the execution of control, the manager must therefore have these lines of communication established, open, and functioning, because it is not enough that you will do it and you will control it by yourself. Just like, for example, in your establishment, when there is an invader. When you say invader ka naman na nulis in your establishment, you cannot control it by yourself. You may have, maybe you have your CCTVs, your security systems, but it is not enough. You need the authority. When you say authority, mga legal authority, we're referring to the policeman. Mga nga we need their help in order for us to be guided and directed in what to do. Kanang what are the things, necessary things to do in such time. Kay kung example, mulaban ka sa kanang sa tulisan, di ba, there is a probability, a high risk that you will be harmed. So mo ni giingan nga, your lines of communication must be open and functioning in order for you to extend or to have some help in such time nga na mo sa danger. The budget is a collection of estimates of income and expenditures for a future period based upon past experience, present conditions, and anticipated future trends. The budget is a tool of management whereby it hopes to achieve the highest reasonable expectation of operating efficiency. We need a budget in order for us to have a profit, because without budget, how are you going to earn what, right? The business budget, being a tool of management, is only useful as the care with which it is prepared and the manner it is followed. It makes management regularly study financial conditions, the markets for the company's products, and properties of the general market. So, bisan pa og ka na mag-study ra mo mag research, it takes budget, it costs money. It brings about a coordinated use of systems of accounting, books, records, and the findings of research. A budget may cover a single item of expense such as advertising budget, or it may be cover an entire department's activities such as the sales budget or the purchasing budget. When the term budget is used singly, however, it usually refers to the budget of the business enterprise. Kung may ka budget, dili ra ni ga refer sa kwarta. Budget means naa kay kwarta, and you also have this what we call organization on how to spend that money. That is what we call budget. Kita ka ng mga barangay, ka ng mga barangay council, bisan pag sa national budget, na mo na gitawag na nga national budget, na sa giset daan nga mga gasto honon, and then na pay kwarta dana nga ilang gi-budget para di ana nga mga expenses. Government controls. Business in the Philippines is essentially characterized by free enterprise but with many elements of government control. Examples of government control kay kaning naay gitawag na nga kuan, selling price, o dapat dili ka mo lapas ani nga presyo, dili ka kadyo magpamahal o dili ka kadyo magpabarato. The business enterprise and the company as a whole are subject to a pervasive and comprehensive scheme of government controls, because we are individuals, but after all, we are still governed by our authorities. Government control may consist of regulatory agencies such as Securities and Exchange Commission, the Public Service Commission, the Patent Office, and the Insurance Commission are well known and exercise familiar functions. The government enforce of pure food laws, social security legislation, anti-monopoly laws, and even tariffs, customs, and revenue code. Muni kag tariffs kani mga customs, muni mga buwis na to, because of course without buwis sa atong mga businesses, some business establishments, wa po dyan mo'y buhat, wa po'y mabuhat atong government, wa sila'y budget, wa sila'y fund in return to give back to the community through our projects. For example, sa DPWH, mo nang budget nila gikan na sa mga buwis, they make roads, railways, and bridges and everything. Another example, we have the Department of Education, which has the biggest budget of all the departments para kintahay naatay quality education. And finally, we come up to the importance of control. Ano importante man ang mag-control, because control gives us the usual advantages of planning. Waste, inefficiencies, and dishonesties become known and may be easier to be avoided. Controls bring out conditions which otherwise would remain unnoticed. Maraming tag-control nga nung may man nga dishonesties become easier to be avoided because with control mahibaw ani mo kinsay mga nanguha sa atong budget. Ang budget nganong nakuwangan nga gi-budget na manidaan, di ba, nga na, so makontrol na nimo, makita nimo og kinsay mga tawhana ang mga responsible for such actions, and they will be held reliable for their actions and should face the consequences. More importantly, future problems are provided for, since controls are intended to keep an enterprise focused on its objectives. Goals are formulated in clearer and more concrete form. Since control increase initiative, it brings about coordination and promote cooperation. That will be all for this chapter. Thank you for listening.